In the 6th century Byzantine Empire, amid the colorful and chaotic streets of Constantinople, a little girl was born, whose name no one yet knew. Her father was a bear trainer who performed at the hippodrome for a faction known as the Greens. Her mother was a dancer and actress. Theodora was born among the people, from the very lowest class. After her father's death, the family fell into poverty. Still a child, Theodora began performing on stage, following her mother's profession. At first, she took small roles, but over time her performances became more provocative, and she was eventually drawn into prostitution. In that era, acting and dancing were considered shameful professions. For Theodora, the stage was not a place of art. It was a means of survival. Growing up amid the dust of the theater, she was soon noticed for her beauty by a diplomat named Heliopolis, appointed governor of North Africa. She followed him there, but things went wrong. Once in Africa, he cast her out, and hardship returned. Desperate and alone, Theodora began her journey back to Constantinople along the Mediterranean coast, forced to rely again on prostitution to survive. These were years of exile, but also years of profound inner transformation. In Alexandria, she reached a turning point. Through her encounters with scholars, churchmen, and thinkers, she began to develop a new worldview. She grew interested in theology and philosophy, and her sharp political mind began to form. Though she seemed a wanderer in exile, these were the years in which her character was forged and her vision awakened. When she finally returned to Constantinople, she was no longer just an actress. She was an educated, confident, and self-made woman. That return opened the door to her destiny. Justinian, the nephew and heir of Emperor Justin I, was captivated not only by Theodora's beauty, but by her intelligence. Despite coming from different worlds, they formed a deep and unbreakable bond. But one obstacle stood before them. The law forbade an emperor from marrying an actress. Determined, Justinian changed that law after his uncle's death, married Theodora, and in 527 crowned her as Empress of Byzantium. This was not merely a love story, it was the beginning of a partnership that would shape the empire's future. In 532 AD, one of the darkest days in Constantinople's history unfolded. The Byzantine people, burdened by heavy taxes and injustice, rose up in fury. Crowds gathered in the hippodrome, and what began as a sporting event turned into a massive uprising. Their chants of "Nika!" victory, became the cry of rebellion. For the first time, the rival factions of the Blues and the Greens united, not for sport, but against the emperor. The city descended into chaos. Fires consumed buildings, shops were looted, and the palace itself was under threat. Justinian, terrified, considered fleeing. But at that moment, a woman stood up, Theodora. While the court trembled, she remained calm and delivered one of the most powerful speeches in history. "To flee is easy, but I prefer to die wearing the imperial purple, for purple makes the noblest shroud." Her words changed everything. Justinian resolved to fight. With her courage guiding him, a plan was formed. General Belisarius surrounded the hippodrome where the rebels had gathered. The exits were sealed, and within hours, 30,000 rebels were slaughtered. The revolt was crushed. The throne was saved. And that victory belonged not only to Justinian, but to Theodora. From that day forward, she was seen not just as an empress, but as a co-ruler. Her voice shaped decisions, her influence felt in every reform. Behind the marble halls and golden domes of the palace lay another Byzantium, one filled with injustice, poverty, and forgotten women. Theodora became their voice. She had not been born into royalty. She had lived the suffering of the common people. And now, with power in her hands, she fought especially for women. Her influence was vital in the creation of the Corpus Juris Civilis, the great codification of Roman law. Many of its reforms improved the lives of women. Women gained the right to divorce, own property, and inherit wealth. Punishments for rape and sexual assault were made harsher. Men could no longer abandon their wives at will. Most notably, Theodora enacted laws to protect women forced into prostitution, punishing their exploiters instead of the victims. She founded shelters and convents where women could find safety and rebuild their lives. The most famous of these was called metanoia, meaning repentance. These reforms were revolutionary, not only for their time, but even by modern standards. Under Theodora, women gained a stronger voice in society, in courts, and in their own lives. In the palace, she appeared as a majestic empress in robes of gold and purple. But beneath that image was a jurist, a reformer, and a warrior. She used her power not for herself, but for those who had none. Theodora fell ill and died in 548, at only 48 years old, most likely of cancer. Her death devastated Justinian, yet her presence endured. Her mosaic in the Basilica of San Vitale in Ravenna still radiates her strength and dignity centuries later. Theodora was not merely an empress. She was a woman who rose from the streets to the throne, leaving her mark on an empire through her intellect, courage, and compassion. History is often told through the deeds of men, but Theodora broke that silence. And if we still speak her name today, it is because she did not just leave a mark on history, she helped shape it. So, what do you think was Theodora's greatest achievement? Share your thoughts in the comments below.